What's up, everyone? Welcome to the November 17th edition of the NBA Injury Report, brought to you by BetMGM. I'm your host, Adam Scherer. You can follow me on Twitter at ShipMyMoneyDFS. We only have a three-game NBA slate tonight, so should be quite a bit shorter video than we had yesterday. But we will get into the questionable players on tonight's three-gamer. But first, click the link in the description below. Sign up, make a deposit at BetMGM, and place a real money wager to receive a risk-free first bet up to $1,000 in addition to 2 free months of Stokastic Plus Platinum. Be sure to click that link in the description below to take advantage. Now, looking at the questionable players that we do have on tonight's slate, starting with the Portland Trailblazers, Jusuf Nurkic, Justice Winslow, and Keon Johnson are all questionable. Nurkic returned from injury last game and only played about 15 minutes. He had really abbreviated short rotations. I don't really know if it was injury related or the fact that Portland was just getting destroyed while he was on the floor pretty much every single time. That also could be injury related. I don't really know. So I don't know what to make of his minutes if he is in today. I think that he is an interesting tournament option if he plays because everybody's going to be scared to click his name. And there is certainly some chance that he just plays normal minutes. But if he's in, certainly a very risky option after what we saw last game. If he is out, Drew Eubanks looks again like a very good value option. He's still very inexpensive. Played 33 minutes behind Nurkic last game. They combined for 48 minutes. I would expect that Eubanks gets to start and plays considerable minutes tonight if Nurkic is out. Justice Winslow, not a huge fantasy option himself, especially if Nurkic is in, but Winslow's status does affect other players, including Nurkic, because we have frequently seen Justice Winslow in closing lineups for this team, and this is a matchup where I would expect Winslow to have a very good chance of being in the closing lineup in place of Nurkic tonight if he's able to go. He also potentially cuts into the playing time of guys like Jeremy Grant a little bit, not that it would make Grant an unappealing play, but instead of 37, 39, 42 minutes from Grant, maybe dialing it back to the 35 or 36 that he's received for most of the year. Keon Johnson shouldn't matter too much. If Nurkic and Winslow are both out and Johnson plays, Johnson probably cracks the rotation, but otherwise shouldn't have much of an impact on anything. For the Sacramento Kings, Keegan Murray is questionable. He left the Kings' last game, in the first half. Terrence Davis started the second half. That is certainly an option tonight. And if Davis does start, he is cheap enough where he'd be a viable option. I don't know if it will be him or not. He was playing really, really well in the second quarter of their last game. So it kind of made sense to just ride the hot hand and let him start the second half. You could also get Malik Monk in the starting lineup. You could get Trey Lyles in the starting lineup. You could get pretty much anybody else in the starting lineup because the Kings have flexibility with Harrison Barnes and Kevin Huerter to where they can move around and defend different positions. So my assumption is that it's going to be either Terrence Davis, Malik Monk, or Trey Lyles replacing Murray in the rotation if he's out, but it could be any of those guys or somebody else. It does also firm up playing time a little bit for those wings, typically excluding last game where Terrence Davis played great and also where Murray got hurt. We've typically seen rotations where Kevin Huerter is averaging 32 minutes per game, but he can play a bit more. Same goes for Barnes. Same goes for Murray. And then you also get some games where Malik Monk slides in and steals minutes from those guys. If Murray is out, I think it increases the chances that Malik Monk finds his way into the closing lineup, as we have seen pretty frequently in some games recently. And for the Los Angeles Clippers, Paul George is questionable, as he has been all day. Kawhi Leonard is currently listed as out on the injury report, but reports from the Clippers are that he has been upgraded to questionable. If Kawhi plays, I expect that he'll come off the bench and play limited minutes like he did at the beginning of the season when he tried to get going. So I don't think he's going to end up being a DFS option. Obviously, maybe we get more information that changes that. But right now, I wouldn't expect him to be an option. I do think that, he can potentially impact the playing time of some of the fringe guys on the Clippers. But they are also missing Luke Kennard, who's been playing 24 minutes per game for them. So probably not too much of an impact if Kawhi plays, outside of him taking a lot of usage from players, whoever he ends up being on the floor with. Paul George, though, clearly has a massive impact. He's averaging about 36 minutes per game, played about 40 minutes last game. He's averaging well over a fantasy point per minute. He does everything when he's on the floor. If he were to miss this game, you get more usage available for pretty much everyone else, whether that's Zubac, Marcus Morris, John Wall, Reggie Jackson. You also get a lot more playing time opening up. John Wall probably plays more. Jackson plays more. Morris and Zubac probably play more. Terrence Mann, Norman Powell all would have to step up. So if George gets ruled out, you just get pretty much everybody else on the Clippers looking better. So to recap, the three big pieces of news that we are waiting on right now: the Blazers have all of Nurkic, Keon Johnson, and Justice Winslow listed as questionable. Keegan Murray is questionable for the Kings, and Kawhi Leonard and Paul George are both questionable for the Clippers.